Okay, we have quite an interesting game today. Um, I played in this position, surprisingly enough, I played d3. Now, this is a very interesting move. It's based on the fact that after e4, d6 is considered a sound move, a sound opening, the Pirk opening. So why not play d3 first? If e4, d6 is sound, why not the equivalent of d6 first as an opening? So that's what happened. e5, so that's a reversed Pirk defense, but white has the move in hand. Extra move compared to black. Perhaps not the best move in the position, but it's playable. Now, of course, if he takes on e4, I take on e5, and yeah, it's not a good idea for him to take. So castle is good, rook e1, knight here, knight c3. So that's the usual theme of knocking off the knight on f6 to get a knight on d5. He doesn't take, he just plays the queen back. And he wants to exchange with the knight instead of the bishop. So he wants to keep the pair of bishops. Now here I'm threatening to win the exchange. Knight g6 is playable, but I decided to play this first, hoping that he would drop back on h5, and then I have knight to f5. Instead, he actually keeps the bishop, and he keeps both bishops, and he gives up the exchange. So knight g6, he's got quite a good position. Bishop here. That's probably not a very good move. I think putting bishop out, like bishop f1 here with the intent of coming here. So the white's plan is it's not very good. Now what he was doing with king g7, he's threatening to put a rook behind and open up with h5 like this. This is not a good move either. Probably playing bishop f1 now is the key, and then we have this move available if needed. Now for the exchange, which obviously refuses, I come here to get a bit of life into my bishop and also potentially to oppose it here. And he breaks at the right time, so I cover up. Queen here. Now I'm going to have problems on the f2 square here. As soon as he opens up with the bishop check, the rook can come down here, and it's very uncomfortable. So that was my defense, as good as it may be. He takes, and he just drops back. I have to oppose the... So he gets the pawn, but I get a little bit back in this position. King h8, rook takes c7, take here, h5. Now what to do? It's not a fun position to play as white, because he's got all sorts of checks here and pawn coming down with the other pawn. Meanwhile, do we have time to push this pawn all the way like this? My plan is to give up the exchange and play a rook endgame. I mean a bishop endgame. It's touch and go whether it's sound or not. But I felt that this queenside majority, I had a very good chance. But I also, if I play my rook to f7, which I did, I have a very good chance of passing these pawns. Although his counterplay is very menacing, but pushing pawns, supporting pawns with two bishops, it's a lot easier than with just one bishop. Hence the idea of sacrificing the exchange here. Perhaps it's worth looking at what might have happened. So after he played h5, I played rook to f7 in the game. I could have played king g2. We're just going to show a line. Check, check. And now there's a little trick which brings the rook in here to collect the pawn on h1 if it ever queens. So bishop here threatening to go there. He pushes here on g5. Now I start marching. And of course, I start marching because I've got the check here that picks up the queen in the corner. So he meets the threat. I push, he pushed, and I go there. Now, the right play for black is to play a move like this, rather than try to oppose with bishop here, because you give the rook and then you play king here and he can never queen, even with two passed pawns, because you're blockading on the white squares. Meantime, you can attempt to create a little bit of a problem by starting to push your pawns on the other side. So bishop back. Now this is, of course, you can't take with the rook. White cannot take with the rook because the pawn queens here. And the idea for this bishop is to go here and starts pressuring here and pressuring the h1 square, which is a very good recycling of the bishop. King g2, bishop c6, and now we have to give the exchange this way. Bishop takes c4, and this is not as good as the position I got in my game. And you can play a few moves and see that it's pretty equal. And in the game I got a much better position. So after rook f7, he plays h4, and then I give the exchange immediately. Better do it on your own terms. Of course, this pawn not only goes forward towards the queening square, but also it reveals the attack of the bishop on this diagonal, which can be instrumental in preventing checks and pushing pawns. King goes up, trying to assist in defending the attempt to queen this pawn. I'll go on the other side. Push here, push here. This is a mistake that probably cost him the game, although there's plenty of play left. But move 47, you know, the situation on the clock starts becoming an issue. Now, he should have gone here on d1, and I would have played a move like that. King goes there, bishop goes there, he attacks, and it's not as clear as it seems. In fact, he's winning in this position. So after he played c8, bishop to c8, a4, so basically push my pawn on the queen side. He goes there, b6 stops him, bishop this way. Here the computer recommends pushing on e6 here, but my move basically transposes in the same variation. So it's just a transposition. Bishop here, So now I've got the ascendancy. I've got the play. He's starting to have false moves. Bishop here. Of course, he can never take this pawn because this one queens immediately. So the king is a bit of a sitting duck there, waiting for nothing. He checks me here. Now, the king cannot take there because of this simple move which wins the game, forcing the queening of the pawn here. In endgames, you have to watch out for these kinds of swindle. So he goes in the on e8, protecting preventing the queening. Bishop here. The king goes back, and so what he intends to do is just back and forth and hold the position that way. But unfortunately, there are some complications. Always ask the question to the bishop, what do you want to do? And of course, the bishop wants to defend the queening square. That enables me to play here and take that pawn. He plays this way. I go up, down, plays here, king here, king up, king here. So he's going to do the forever king c7 and back and forth. But now I've got this, threatening to take the f3 pawn for free. He takes, and this is like move 68 of the game. And he falls for it, which is just this. Game over, he resigns in this position. So there's plenty of juice in every position, especially in the endgame.